We are live now.
Ma'am, shall I begin?
मैम शुरू करें गुंजन मैम
हाँ जी शुरू करो
हाँ चैतन्य स्टार्ट
Okay. Good evening to everyone present here. I welcome you all to the sixth lecture of Kartavyam, the Constitutional Law Lecture Series organized by Campus Law Center, Faculty of Law, University of Delhi, in collaboration with top law universities and institutions all across India. An academic initiative that seeks to deepen constitutional consciousness among students, scholars, practitioners of law, and public in general. This lecture series brings together reputed jurists, academicians, and public intellectuals to reflect on the living spirit of the Constitution of India. Today, we have tuned in for the sixth lecture of the series, which is centered on a compelling theme of geopolitics and its impact on jurisprudence. In an era where borders are increasingly porous economically, digitally, and ideologically, the law is no longer confined within the territory of a single nation. Jurisprudence must now respond to a world where geopolitical developments can redefine constitutional values, challenge sovereignty, and necessitate legal reform. From trade wars to migration crises, from international environmental obligations to cyber warfare, the role of law in maintaining a just and stable order has never been more critical. This lecture would be a necessary reflection on how India's legal system must evolve to remain responsive, resilient, and rooted in justice amidst global turbulence. Before we proceed, I would like to call upon our professor in charge, Professor Dr. Gunjan Gupta ma'am, to set the ambience for today's session by delivering the welcome address. We congratulate ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Chaitanya. A very warm good evening to all, respected dignitaries, esteemed guests, valued colleagues, and dear friends. It is with great warmth and deep sense of purpose that I welcome you all to this gathering under the banner of Kartavyam. We are truly honored by your presence here today as we come together to reflect upon a theme that is both timely and thought-provoking: geopolitics and its impact on jurisprudence. This gathering invites us to reflect on the shifting tides of global politics, our legal and constitutional discourse at home. As India stands firm as a sovereign constitutional democracy, the question before us is both urgent and significant. How do we engage with a rapidly changing world while remaining rooted in our constitutional ethos? In this context, our understanding of constitutional duty cannot remain static. It must evolve in response to both domestic aspirations and international treaties, realities. It is in this spirit that we have assembled here, not merely to deliberate, but to ignite meaningful dialogue around how we interpret, internalize, and act upon the ideals enshrined in our Constitution. Our fundamental duties, in concert with the rights, form the very heart of our democratic fabric. They are not abstract principles, they are living commitments, ones that hold the potential to shape a more just and responsive jurisprudence. Kartavyam, an initiative, seeks to go beyond conventional academic boundaries. It is a call to scholars, practitioners, students, and engaged citizens to rethink, reimagine, and re-energize constitutional thought. Together, through this platform, we aspire to explore the dynamic interplay between the rights and responsibilities and to nurture a vision of constitutionalism that is not only reflective of our present, but transformative of our future. For today's lecture, we have the distinct pleasure of welcoming our honorable guests, Dr. Ankit Shah, a respected geopolitical analyst and an author whose expertise offers valuable insights into the intersection of international affairs and legal thought. I welcome Dr. Ankit Ji.
Ji, namaste.
And also Professor Devendra Singh, a distinguished academic and leader and Vice Chancellor of National Law University, Sonipat. I welcome you, sir. Once again, I warmly welcome you all, and I look forward to the rich exchange of the ideas that this series will undoubtedly inspire. Thank you. Over to you, Chaitanya.
Thank you, ma'am. We are honored to have with us Professor Devinder Singh, Honorable Vice Chancellor of the B.R. Ambedkar National Law University, Sonipat, an established academician and a great leader. With 25 years of teaching experience, Professor Singh is known for his work in constitutional law, family law, election law, human rights law, and administrative law. Prior to his appointment at DBRA NLU, Professor Singh served as chairperson of Department of Laws, Punjab University, Chandigarh, and was the dean of the School of Law at Maharaja Agrasen University. His academic portfolio includes more than 70 publications, several authored and edited books, and foreign presentations on legal education and constitutional law. He has also guided more than 30 PhD and LLM scholars and led multiple research projects commissioned by national bodies. I request Professor Devinder Singh Sir to share his valuable words and wisdom with the people who have joined us for today's session.
Very good evening. The organizers of the program, the Kartavyam, the Delhi University, and the chief speaker of the day, and other distinguished professors who have joined this program on these geopolitics and jurisprudence, or the prevalent growth of law in Indian context. The topic is new. No doubt, I have been teaching the public law, but the geopolitics continues to affect the laws in the territory of India, and we have to keep a vigil on the neighbors, that how our laws are to be affected, or how the neighbors are affecting. If we see the constitutional journey, in the beginning also, when we got independence, at that time too, India decided that the world is divided between the veto powers, between two groups, and our neighbors were divided. So we are living in the neighborhood of a veto power. So India has a option not to join either of the group, but siding with one of the group, but most of the time try to be neutral. But as we understand, in international law, neutrality is hardly any position. As and when there is a need for the nation or any other nation state ask for doing something, then the neutrality is automatically broken. Starting journey from there, right from the United Nations Charter and then Universal Declaration on Human Rights, India tried to be contributing to the international politics and international relations and international law, but at the same time made its own space. But it has been a victim from the neighbors' aggression in 1962, 65, 71, so on. Many things has been changed. In 1991, when we opened up, then our trade, our environment, we have to change our policies because of the international relations and because of the geopolitics, which is being surrounded. We are surrounded by the neighbors. Every day, neighbors are crossing our borders because there is no stability there. But at the same time, we can't ignore them. We can't grow unless and until we take care of the neighbors itself. If we leave them, then others will continue to interfere into this. And in international relations, if they are our neighbor, they are to be taken care of. If I could explain it through a simple example, that if you want your orchard to be well maintained, full of fruits, and it has to be a corporate fruits there, then you have to ensure that the neighboring orchard is also being well maintained. If the neighboring orchard has infectious diseases, then definitely your own orchard would be infected in the due course. This is true about the geopolitics as well, that if we want to contribute, if we want peace, then the neighbors are to be taken care of. As far as our neutrality is concerned, as far as our neutral relation with the neighbors and others are concerned, this is a constitutional mandate for India and Indian government, that we are committed for the development of peace, not only in India, not only in the world, but specifically in the neighborhood. This is the duty of every citizen as well. It is enshrined in the directive principles of the state policy. So therefore, keeping in view the neighborhood and all that, the environment, the demography in India, it is, the demography in India is being such that because of our diversity, based upon language, based upon religion, and based upon religion, we
एक
have
एक भैया एक मिनट हु इज प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर हु इज दिस को-होस्ट डॉक्टर देवी
म्यूट कर सकते हैं, मुझे लगता है उनको।
नहीं, इनको म्यूट तो कर रहे हैं, बार बार ये अनम्यूट हो रहा है। ठीक है भैया, प्लीज कंटिन्यू। सॉरी
सीमा, नितिन जी को बोल दो।
वो एक्चुअली मैम कहीं बिजी हैं, तो उन्होंने ना होस्ट बना करके हम लोग को कोई नहीं मैम, वी आर कीपिंग आवर आईज। थैंक यू जी, प्लीज कंटिन्यू।
You're muted. Please unmute yourself.
all
It's okay.
mute में भी आ गया ना? Yes. So because of diversity in India and our ethnic identity and our neighbors, we need to be neutral as far as religion goes, and because of the diversity, we see the influx of people coming from India from other side of the border, and subsequently we start new things here. They start demanding their rights. We have seen Assam, the Tamil Nadu problem, no doubt it was solved way back, but Assam problem is there, Jammu Kashmir is there, Ladakh is there. So it is because of the neighbors, that the neighbors can cause some sort of security issues among us, and because of that we have to see the things. We have seen 3 years back when India is considering this citizenship register, then CA amendment was carried out in 2019. Then we have seen that the neighbors has started. No doubt it was an issue relating to the neighbors, but it was a well thought plan. But neighbors has also started interfering into these matters. This is all about the geopolitics, and the last thing which I could say is that if India continues to be neutral, in the latest example of during the Sindoor operation, what we find is that the government of India was accused by the opponents, by the critics, that there was no friend who stood by India. So that is what we wanted actually. We want to be neutral. Whatever we have been doing, nobody was interfering, neither stopping us, nor supporting us. So it is either way. It is either way good for us that we are independent in our own decisions, and what we have decided, we have done it. And the critics says, the opposition says that nobody was with India. Yes, we didn't want actually anybody with us, and nobody opposed as such for 3-4 days of conflict with our neighbor. So this is what we can do, and we continue to do, so to maintain our security perspective and citizen perspective and all that. Other things relating to the trade, environment, I am not touching upon this, understanding that Ankit Shah is an expert on this, and he will be developing on this. So I am happy to be part of this conference, this seminar, this lecture series, and National Law University Sonipat also takes pride that we are also partner in the Kartavyam, and as and when we get an opportunity, we'll host in person, or some other thing is being deputed to us as towards the Kartavyam, then we will be happy to do it towards the Kartavyam, because it is a new thought, and I hope this would be giving a new dimensions to the jurisprudence, to the constitution, and international relations. Thank you very much. Chaitanya, over to you.
I think she has got disconnected. Thank you so much, sir, for the enlightening, thought-provoking speech. And we have really gathered a new perspective to the whole geopolitics and its impact on jurisprudence. So, without further ado, I'll just call Ankit, sir, for his lecture. So, yeah,
Shantanu,
Ankit,
Chaitanya is here. Unmute her.
okay, just Chaitanya. Yeah, he is unmuted.
We are privileged to have with us our next speaker, Dr. Ankit Shah, a renowned geopolitical analyst. Dr. Shah is a fellow chartered accountant and a qualified company secretary and a keen observer of foreign policy and security for Bharatiya Upmahadweep. Sir is known as the concept man of the Sanatan economics model. Dr. Ankit Shah runs his YouTube channel and is popular for his geopolitics and geoeconomics projections for the world. Dr. Shah predicted some major geopolitical events like Doklam, Article 370, 35A removal, line of actual control standoff, Balakot, Ukraine and Israel-Iran conflicts, Syria regime change, California fire incident, de-dollarization process, and so on. He has addressed many national and international platforms as a panelist and keynote speaker. Sir has also served IIMA as an academic and research associate and has authored several books on geopolitics as well. I request Dr. Ankit Shah sir to share his insights and knowledge with the people present with us today.
Dhanyawad. Thank you for the kind introduction and giving me this opportunity to address such a distinguished panel of the people in the law domain. And I'm sure I would be able to add something which will spark some kind of a thinking process. Because when I saw the word Kartavyam and Simaji requested, the previous guest just eloquently talked about how geopolitics affects. I would like to put it in more detail. So this particular word, when you say Kartavyam, that comes from a dharmic sense of a duty-based society. So when you say a duty-based society, the entire law framework, jurisprudence, or even the economic model would look very different from a perspective of ancient Bharat. And I would like to bring in some elements so we can understand how we can bridge the contemporary world with at least the ancient Bharatiya principles, if not the methods. Obviously, the methods cannot be replicated. Now, let me give you a little bit of a background of what is the fundamental difference between Bharat and the rest of the world to begin with. Because when we talk about jurisprudence, we are talking about what kind of governance model we bestow upon our own people and our citizens. So Bharat says that you are the soul and the body is just a vehicle. This is what Bharat says. The rest of the world is saying that you are the body and the soul is just a vehicle. Now, primarily, when you hear these thoughts, you would think that, oh, this is something on a spiritual plane. But when you dissect how the last 1,000 years of history has been, you realize that the rest of the world is talking about only one life, whereas it is Bharat which is talking about life cycles. Now, when you talk about life cycles, you are talking from the point of view of a civilizational continuity. Whereas the rest of the world, which believes that you are the body, they are just talking about one life. Now, what is the fundamental difference between these two approach? When you say that you have only one life, this is the only life you got, your thinking process, your models of governance, your sense of economics is a consumption based approach where you believe that the world is to be designed in a way where your consumption is being satisfied. Now, the means could be any which way you go about. Bharat, when he's talking about life cycles, you are talking about a preservation-based life cycle. That's your view of the world, where you are saying that each living organism has an equal right in this part of the world. Whereas we do not see a difference between a fish and yourself, a dog and yourself, right? So we do not have to dissect animal rights and human rights. That's a Bharatiya dharmic way of looking at things. Also, what you are saying is that my geopolitics is going to be about, it is going to be a topic based approach. The entire literature of Bharatiya Parampara, you will find that it's all about questioning and answering, questioning and answering. Okay. Nowhere you will find that these are the strict rules or these are the commandments and this has to be followed blindly. Okay. So the Bharatiya jurisprudence derives its values from the concept of darshan, whereas the rest of the world derives its understanding of law from the point of view of blind commandments. This is the rule, this has to be followed, which is why that lady of justice in the courtroom was blinded, right? And when as we are getting decolonized, that blindfold is being removed, because our concept, our value comes from dharma, which is darshan. Now, let me quote you from our some of us ancient some anecdote from there. When you see Maharaj Yudhishthir doing justice to a crime, he looks at the case and he says, well, this person did this so and so crime. What was his learning ability at that age and that point in time? If his learning ability, his skills, and his grooming are different from the other person, despite the fact that both of them have done a similar crime, the punishments are going to vary. Okay, this is a dharmic way of darshan value based justice system. Whereas when you talk about a foreign import justice model, what you are going to do is, say for example, Mukesh Ambani does not wear a helmet, I am going to charge 500 rupees. And a poor fellow who's not wearing a helmet, I'm going to charge 500 rupees. Right? This is the Western template of delivering justice. So what do you end up doing when you do a standardization of justice, which comes from a Western template, blindly doing justice and not by the value of darshan? What happens is the rich of the society are allowed and given license to do the crimes because they can pay for the crimes, right? Over a period of time, this is not what delivers justice. This increases crimes in the society. Now, this is just an example. Now, coming back to how do we got colonized and how did we get this value system, especially when we saw after the Second World War, the Western template, the Western side of the world, they impose their templates as global templates, be it of the governance, be it of how law is to be made. Say, for example, if I am going to talk about a word called liberty, a simple word called liberty. Now, if you ask someone from the law domain, what does this word mean? And if you go back to the roots, the word liber is talking about book, a book. The word liberty is talking about the right to read a book. And which book are they talking about? If you dig back the history, it is talking about Bible. You will be surprised to know today that this word liberty was used to punish women in the West, saying that she cannot read or preach Bible, which means she does not deserve any rights. She has no liberty in a Western society. This is how they derived this word liberty. Okay, so I mean, obviously, nobody's going to go that back and check where these words are coming from. But we got to understand that even when we talk about our own constitution, what happened is after the Second World War, the entire world was uh, designed in a way, in a unipolar world order way, where the Western world established global bodies like United Nations, World Bank, IMF, and these bodies were designed in a way that they ensured that their governance model and their templates were cut, copy, pasted across all geographies. Okay. Now, when you see our own constitution, okay, the first article, India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. Okay. Now, where does this word India come from? It comes from the fact that the Westerners, when they came for searching for us, they were given a little description that there is Himalayas on the top, there is Bharatiya Mahasagar in the south, and there is this river called Indus, whatever. So a geographical identity was handed over to a set of people who came in search of us. We were not lost. We were Bhartiyas. We were not lost. We were already living here. They didn't discover us. They came in search for us. So there is absolutely no requirement why we should be identified with a wording which is derived from geographical markers just because they were lost and they were searching for us. Now, we all being Vanshaj of Raja Bharat, right? That's where the word comes from. Uh, Unfortunately, the deep state, or what we call as the global market forces, were able to create toolkits in all the colonies of the West, where you got a negotiated independence rather than a freedom struggle gained independence kind of a format. Now, what happens when you have actually not fought? I mean, the real fighters from 1857, the revolution and stuff, but the negotiated independence that we got, because it was negotiated, not just the maps were cut, copy, pasted, but there was 2 years, more than 2 years of work on a Western template of constitution which was imposed on us. And you'll be surprised to know, when you see those discussions in the constitution, you'll be very, very surprised. These people are talking in hi-fi English language. Not a single Bharatiya citizen is aware what these people are discussing. Okay. Now, the very first article, as I said, if you decolonize those same documents, you realize it should be Bharat, that is Bharatvarsh, shall be a union of Janapadas and not states. Why we will call it Janapada, and why should we not call it states? Well, Janapada means where the feet of my citizens are laid on. All that soil is Bharat. When you coin the word states and you import and cut, copy, paste from the West, what that means is you are saying uh, the diversity is allowed to emphasize itself to a point where they can ask for secession from the country. Okay, some state will say I am a Christian state. Some state will say I am an Islamic state. Some state will say, oh, I have Tamil language. Some state will say I have Gujarati language. So in order not to have this kind of divisions, it should actually be Janapadas and not a union of states. So when you look at it from a decolonization perspective, all the foreign import of wordings that is posted over here is why we are continuously engaged in a turmoil kind of a situation where citizens are pitted against each other for absolutely no reason in a society which has the least crime in the world. I mean, per thousand population, if you make a chart, this is the least criminal society in the entire world. And the reason being, it is guided by dharma. It is not guided by law. It is guided by dharma. And dharma clearly over here means, in terms of jurisprudence, it means duties. Okay. Now, similarly, there's a big problem with the concept of rights in the same document which was cut, copy, pasted from the Western template. Who gives you a right? Say, for example, today I have a right to vote. Now I'm going out to do a vote. Imagine a radical mob comes in between and says, well, you cannot vote today. Okay. Now, what do I do with the right that I'm being given? I'm going to go to a police station, file my complaint. There will be evidence collected. There will be lawyers. The judge is going to listen, and the judges maybe, probably, if you are lucky enough, would give a judgment that, well, hey, the police should take care next time when the voting happens. Please take care and see to it that this guy is able to vote. So where is the right derived from? The constitution, the police, the judiciary, and the state, all four of them can only give you a legal hearing. They can only give you a compensation. They cannot give you a right. I'm repeating again. The constitution, the police, the state, and the judiciary, they can only give you a hearing and they can give you a compensation. They cannot give you a right. Your right will already be snatched from you. And after the crime happens, maybe if you are lucky enough, maybe next time. So we have to understand that rights arrive from duties. And where do citizens supposed to do duties? Citizens are supposed to do duties in their family, in their community, and in their occupation, which is school, varna, and jati. This is the ancient Bharat formula given. So if you have done duties for your family, that is family strength. If you have done duties for your community, that is jati strength. And if you have done duties for your occupation, that is your occupational strength. If you have numbers in this three, you will be able to exercise your rights. Otherwise, there is no way you can exercise your rights. You need to have all these three numbers with you. If you don't have these numbers, you do not have any rights. You might get some compensation. Okay. Now, why these fundamental problems are coming up in the societies? Because we cut, copy, pasted the Western templates. And by the way, let me be very clear here. In the West, they are now revisiting all these words. Europe is right now to a point, as I've, one of the predictions I've given, that after 2030, crusades are going to begin in Europe. So Europe is at a point in time where it has started discussing, should there be a word called secularism? Okay. The next step, what they are discussing is, should every individual even have a right to vote? This is the next discussion which is happening in some of the fringe elements of the Western society from where these words came from. Why they are discussing this? Because they have lost the numbers. Okay. So we got to understand that the jurisprudence that you have gotten, if that is not decolonized on time, we are going to have huge problems going forward as a society and as a country. Now, how do geopolitics play into this? So, as I said, after the Second World War, these international bodies were created: United Nations, World Bank, and IMF. These bodies were created to ensure that the colonies get this kind of governances imposed on them. Now, if you go to the Human Rights Charter, you will find there is a mention of um, right, freedom to religion. Say, for example, freedom to religion. Now, all those countries which were signatory to this United Nations, this principles of so-called human rights, which is derived from the Western world. All those countries which are signatory to this, what does it translate into? Today, your family, your ancestors, everybody, each and every generation of your family benefited from the dharmic duties that were done in the community, the dharmic duties that were done within the family and the extended relative groups. Now you are saying all of a sudden, I want to try something new, some new religion, which is, of course, it's an individual right. One should go for that. Now, the question comes, who is going to compensate for all the benefits of dharma that your relatives and families and ancestors took till now? And who is going to compensate for the damage that this one number, which is reduced from dharma, the future duties that you were supposed to do towards the family and community within the dharmic duties? So, without compensating for the loss, you want to go out and try some new religion. It's like मुझे पिकनिक के लिए जाना है, जाओ पिकनिक के लिए, लेकिन सारा रियम्बर्स करके जाओ जो बेनिफिट तुम्हारे सारे एंसेस्टर्स अभी तक लिए धर्म का. So this absolute right to freedom comes from the same United Nations standardized module template imposed on all colonies, without understanding that a whole set of countries have declared themselves Christian and a big set of countries have declared themselves Islamic by state, by law, and yours is the only geography which hosts dharmic people, and you simply cut, copy, pasted, and became a signatory to that idea. Okay. Now, what happens when you see that these Western templates were imposed? What was the objective in geopolitics with this kind of imposition? The very first objective being democracy as a format. uh, it's like opening up your physical borders in the world where there is globalized trade. The global market forces which is ruling the world in some kind of, you say, calling the shots of what decisions to be taken. What they are doing is they are using democracy as a Trojan horse. They enter your geography, they are able to buy out people, they are able to sponsor uh, terror finance, they are able to sponsor protest finance. Andolan GV is the word the prime minister calls. So they are able to sponsor this, they are able to sabotage you internally because all your doors are open in the name of democracy. And then there is a whole Western template of a media uh, campaign which is totally against your national ideals or your dharmic values or your national objectives. And with the power of money, these global market forces are able to impose the same fake media headlines across all your outlets of information. This is an outright war against the country when you find that all the fake headlines are moving around in all directions and the masses are consuming it without even knowing that this is going to impact the policy decisions in the future, because people are going to be trained in a particular way, to think in a particular way, to act in a particular way. And it's like the enemy is directly able to talk to your citizens and get them going to achieve their objectives without even them being aware of what they are doing. So this affects jurisprudence, this affects the judgments which are given by the judges, this affects the public perception in the international media about how our jurisprudence is not able to handle this kind of cases. They are able to influence not just decisions, they are also able to influence how much of the interplay that has to happen between jurisprudence and the executive, okay, the justice system. So overall, when you realize this kind of geopolitics, where your neighbors are being pitted against you, and it was a very considerate strategy of getting your country's partition done in a way. Okay, this is one of my predictions which I had given in 2021, that POK, Ukraine, Taiwan, and Iran, Israel. These are the 4 de-dollarization reversals that will happen before 2030, and nobody will stop this. Okay, I gave this prediction in November 2021. February 2022, Russia-Ukraine conflict started. Okay, so how did I derive this prediction, and why only this 4? POK, Taiwan, Ukraine, and Iran, Israel. Why did I derive only these 4 specific hotspots and not something else? Well, again, it comes to the same geopolitical theory that after the Second World War, they partitioned countries in such a way that 2 neighbors fight with each other. One bucket of nations is being given dollars and arms. The second bucket of nation is being sanctioned. And when both of them fight, the US dollar continues in the reserve currency status of the world. I'll repeat again. Europe standing at Russian border, Russia standing at Chinese border, China standing at Indian borders, India standing at Pakistan borders, Pakistan standing at Afghanistan borders, Afghanistan standing at Iran borders, Iran standing at Iraq borders, right? So Israel standing at Iran, as a 2 bucket theory against Iran. So what happens is every country was told that your neighbor is a rogue country and we are going to sanction them. You continue with the US dollar. This is how US dollar continued in the reserve currency status. So 100 plus nations have given up the valuations of their own currencies and artificially taken the US dollar so up that today US dollar defines which city is going to get polluted in the world, which labor will be abused, who will work 12, 14 hours, which country's natural resources will be used, and they just outright print the currency and buy whatever they wish. While they are enjoying weekend off, they enjoy 5 vacations every year. Your talent is being lured by the attraction of US dollar. You go there, you work over there, you contribute to their economy. That money goes into sustaining their parents while your parents stay here alone. You see what the US dollar has done? So this is how this entire cycle of geopolitics being played, where each region is being made to clash with each other, whereas US dollar continues in the reserve currency status. So this is how 400 years of pound and dollar as a single country reserve currency status is affecting not just governance and jurisprudence based on one life concept, but people are colonized to a point where, if I am to quote one of my quotes, when the British Queen is being asked, she's like, "My wealth is my wealth, but your wealth is commonwealth." So this kind of an approach of one life concept, where you see the next country as some country to be looted, some country to be imposed a puppet regime, and then you loot their natural resources, and you use IMF and World Bank kind of entities to impose political conditions on these countries. Not just that, you fund the protest finance, you fund the terror finance, you sabotage each of the development projects internally by creating such groups, and then go on asking and luring these financial criminals, housing them in the West, and then again put media headlines that look, your justice system is so weak that your criminal just run away from India and see they are living over here in the West. So this is how it's just like, they keep their climate clean, they print the US dollar, they make you use your natural resources and pollute your city and make the product for them. They buy that product from you and then take out climate reports on you. So this is the vicious cycle of geopolitics, which we are thankfully under the vision of Prime Minister Modi, we are seeing massive reversals, especially in relevance to the decolonization process. And I'm more than sure that more and more youngsters in the future would be interested in getting these correct economic valuations back, getting to our current, to our ideal dharmic values of governance and jurisprudence. And eventually, we'll see a whole breed of next generation would be working on, what are the lacking of the constitution document and the justice system. And eventually, at one point in time, when we achieve that status of Viksit Bharat, probably a lot many countries of global south would like to not just adopt our new indexes of how life should be lived or governance should be had. They will also adopt our decolonized justice system, which is completely independent of the geopolitical manipulations that are happening with the application of a reserve currency that is imposed on the rest of the world. I think that's all for the day. We can take questions.
Thank you so much, Ankit ji. It was truly an eye-opening session, and I think Chaitanya,
Yes, ma'am.
you please check the chat box. If there is any question, then you can ask, or any person who is present here. If you want to ask any question, you may raise your hand, or you can type a question in this chat box also.
Ma'am, there are several questions. I'm just going to read them. Respected Ankit sir, is there any particular source online or offline which explains about the history behind the term liberty as explained by you?
Well, not like a specific article, but you can go about with a simple Google search and you will get how liber was derived, how it came into liberty, and how that was used to snatch rights from the Western women. Not just this, you should also be aware that the entire packaged food industry, the entire pharma industry, both of and insurance industry, all three were built by calling Western women as witches. Witch. They were burnt alive. Why? Because these women were making medicines at home with the food itself. That is the Sanatan dharmic principle, right? Our food itself being the medicine, which is why when you see the photo of a witch, they will show you one lady, a black lady wearing a hat, and she is cooking something green liquid in a pot. Okay, so in the West, this idea was imposed when conversions happened from polytheistic dharmic to a Christian world. When that conversions happened, women were labeled as a witch to separate her from the kitchen, which is what we call as the hub of the health of the family, separate her out from there, and that became the foundation for establishing pharma industry, insurance industry, and packaged food industry on a commercial basis.
So the next question in the chat box is, can we say that jurisprudence of any country grow from religion and faith of that land?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly, because dharma and religion, obviously there's a huge difference between the two. Dharma and religion, I mean, if you look at the geography of the world, there are only two things in this world. One is Jammu and second is Jerusalem. There's nothing else. Okay. The Jammu belt gave you two dharm on Ganga and two dharm on Indus. The Jerusalem belt gave you two religions. So the entire world is just about Jammu and Jerusalem. Okay. Now, what happened in Saudi Arabia in the Gulf was some of the desert practices got mixed with Abrahamic Christianity and Judaism religion, and that mix was codified as commandments and it turned into a religion. If I'm to give you some of the examples of how hardships are faced and why, Bhartiyas have always been a kind of community which has never had a fight with any of the citizens anywhere in the world, because wherever they go they assimilate so finely. And the reason behind that is dharm, because dharm originated in a geography which was abundance. Religions grew in a geography where there was scarcity. Now, a scarcity based birth is always going to talk about consumption and takeover and groupism, whereas an abundance born dharm will never look for takeover or consumption, right? They are talking about savings and preservation. Okay, so what happened in Saudi Arabia was the planet Earth is tilted a bit. So wherever there's a direct sunlight, it becomes a desert zone. So when there is a desert, you do not have water, you cannot have plants, you cannot have any production process. So the only economic activity the deserts had was whatever goods are moved across the desert, you make a big mob of people and loot those caravans. You have to loot those for your own survival. So polygamy became a compulsion for people in Saudi Arabia to be able to survive. Now, nobody is going to give their daughters in a desert region where there's no water. So the marriages started going in within, I mean, within the family system. I mean, marrying with sisters. Okay. Now there is no water and no plants, so obviously they eat in one plate. They have to kill animals and eat those. Since there is a lot of heat outside, what happens is um, you wear white clothing, the lengthy white clothing, because it does not absorb heat. Your woman, you want to mark and keep them safe when the clashes are going on. So women were made to wear black because black absorbs heat. You have to have bigger mobs so that you can loot the maximum. Now, not every time that you are going to loot people whoever passes across. So what you do is start collecting what they call as jizya tax. Give me toll tax if you're passing from here as your protection money. So basically, what happened is over a period of time, desert practices mixed with Abrahamic thought process and codified as a religion kind of a thing. Okay, so they do moon worship because the sun is, there's a lot of heat during the daytime, right? And since they have to fight, they need to have long beards so that they can save their neck when the fight is going on. Okay, and they adopt this formula of 90 plus 5 plus 5, which means that, say for example, I have to make a group and I have to clash with the opposite group. So what I'm going to do is 5% radical population needs to be funded and created so that they would do the violence. And once that violence is done, uh, that entire area is going to run away from that. People are going to run away from that area and you get those properties for free. This is how 90 plus 5 works. So 5% terrorists being used by 90% to take over the lands. This is how the entire West Asia became Islamic. Okay. So, and the 5% clerics would indoctrinate hate and stuff like that. Because again, in desert region, if you have to survive, you have to do all these things. There's no water. Okay, so a lot of geopolitics has happened in a way where radicalization is being funded by a lot of external factors across all geographies. Okay.
So the next question is, at present time, ancient Indian administration of justice is as new as other system of justice for India. How we can internalize it in present system, whether we not becoming primitive by applying it.
No. So ancient Bharat had the most advanced governance models, most nuanced kind of a society. We degraded actually because of colonization. Okay. So as I explained you how Yudhishthir Maharaj used to do justice, right? Based on the learning skill and the capability of the criminal to understand whether, I mean, the person who is more literate is not supposed to do crime, obviously, right? So he is to be punished the maximum. The person who is less literate and still doing the same crime, he is not supposed to be punished so much as the literate guy. So this is a darshan method of punishment, whereas in modern punishments it's mostly the rich people who are buying the crimes. Okay, they can just get away by paying money. Okay, you will find an Ajmal Kasab or a big terrorist. Somebody is going to fund. The judge will open the this thing mid 3 o'clock midnight and give justice. Okay, तो payment हो रहा है तो crime चलेगा. That kind is the Western template of model, which is not our kind of justice system.
So the next question is, if we can assume that due to Western powers were more penetrative in southern and western India, thus religious conversion is more in southern India than northern India, or if any other prominent reason prevails.
Well, what happens is, since this has happened over different periods of time in history, but overall, what happens is, it's like, if I'm to talk about to the girls of today or women of today, I would say that if you don't want your daughters to go through Balika Vadu, then you better maintain birth rates right now. If you want your daughter to be secured and alive, you have to maintain birth rate right now. It's like Europe after 2030, a lot of jihadi radical grooming gangs are moving across the society. So what Europe is doing is they are bringing down the legal marriage age to 16, 17, which is nothing but the Balika Vadu which we did, because that's the only way to survive when grooming gangs are moving about outside, right? So all of these things which ancient Bharat had to go through, so that me and you are today alive and speaking, thanks to those our mothers who did Balika Vadu and survived us today, all of these would have to be done by European women after 2030 if they want to survive. They will have to do Balika Vadu, they will have to do Gungat, uh, and if their area is completely covered, then unfortunately Sati and Johar as well would have to be done if they want to save themselves from what happens. So it's very clear that if you want the next generation of daughters safe, you have to make the women of today, the mothers of today will have to maintain their birth rates right now.
So there's another question. How do you see ongoing US India trade deal negotiations?
So what is happening in this de-dollarization process is the BRICS plus nations are telling US in a way that for the last 50 years you are just printing the currency and buying things from others. So now it is your turn. You start using your natural resources. You start using your oil and gas. You start abusing your labor. You start polluting your climate. You start making real products which we will like to buy, and then only you will get some real products from here. This is what is happening in this tariff war. So President Trump is indirectly making the goods of the rest of the countries so costly for Americans that they become ready for a post dollar world where they will have to live a little poorer lifestyle than they were living since the last 30, 40 years. It's like two generations of Americans consume 10 generations products because of the reserve currency status. Now that status is going by 2030. So President Trump has started taming Americans by putting tariffs on foreign products so that they start living with lesser products and a lesser consumption, and other currencies will appreciate with the de-dollarization process. So in this particular deal, we are trying to see how we can extend or survive the disorder which is going to come in the next 5 years. So the predictions which I've given after 2030 is English language will have absolutely no role in the world after 2030. Absolutely no role. If somebody will speak in English, people are going to laugh at them. Okay. Similarly, US dollar will also be removed from all transactions. I want to trade with Sri Lanka. Dollar does not need to come in between. Okay, so I will be paying in rupee. Sri Lanka gets in their currency. I'll be paying in yuan. China will pay in yuan. We will directly get it in rupees without US dollar coming in between. Similarly, language will be, I'll be speaking in Gujarati. The other person is listening in Russian. English does real time basis. So English does not require in between. So we are moving into a world of a multi-currency, multipolarity, where uh, English language and US dollar will have absolutely no role after 2030.
Thank you, sir. We have two more questions. How do you see the future of warfare and where you see India in terms of military capabilities?
Hmm. So it is, as I said, there are four dollar hotspots which will reverse in this decade before 2030. POK, Taiwan, Ukraine, Iran, Israel. This four conflicts reverses by 2030. By 2040, UAE becomes the first Hindu country. Saudi Arabia becomes a Jewish majority and Iran becomes a Christian majority. These are my projections. Um, the four hotspots which were artificially created to keep the dollar going: fight between neighbors. So POK, Taiwan, Ukraine, and Iran, Israel will reverse. Next decade, the other two buckets, North Korea, South Korea, will also reverse. So everywhere, it's the US dollar and English language which were coming in between as a monkey with this geopolitics. Now that role is diluting. Probably President Trump is the last president of an American empire with 800 plus military bases. They will not be able to afford this kind of bases. And as I've predicted, by 2025 end, this year end, a lot of UK, Canada, Australia, and American universities are going to file bankruptcies. The classroom to job model will get over by 2030. You won't be able to show a degree and um, it's like 30-40 years confirm ho gaya mera job. That is over after 2030 because classroom to job model was introduced with pound as a single country reserve currency 400 years back. This model cannot continue after 2030. Absolutely not.
Sir, so we have more questions now. How do you think today's geopolitics will affect how courts in different countries influence each other? For example, we saw how PIL in India inspired similar changes in other South Asian countries. With all the current global shifts, do you think Indian Supreme Court decisions will keep having this kind of impact?
So first of all, since you mentioned South Asia, so I need to make it clear. The word South Asia was coined on purpose and pushed by paid uh, manipulations by the West so that Bharatiya identity is removed, Bharatiya dharmic identity is removed across this region. So it happened only after the 1971 war. Until the 1971 war, whatever academic literature you will check, you will always find the word Bharatiya Upmahadweep or Indian subcontinent. It's only after 1971 our professors Authors, writers, actors, everybody was paid so many dollars to call it South Asia. Okay, now coming back to your question. So, according to you, according to this question, you are saying how much of we will in our courts will be able to influence the region. So the entire process of de-dollarization and multipolarity means there will be regional powers, and Bharat is going to ensure net security of this entire region from Saudi Arabia this side to Laos, Cambodia on the other side. Always remember that the Prime Minister is reversing 1,000 years of history. 1,000 years of history. Each and every date is precisely calculated. Balakot happened on Veer Savarkar Day. Kashmir Reorganization Act on Sardar Patel Day. Waqf Act on Aurangzeb date. Okay. 2000 rupee notes on Godse date. He is reversing 1,000 years of dates of history. Okay. So what does that mean is that the new parliament is not made for Bharat, it is made for Akhand Bharat, which is why it does not have central hall. So all the countries in our region, be it Bhutan, be it Nepal, be it Sri Lanka, be it Maldives, whenever they will visit Bharat, they will have to come and sit and stand in the Lok Sabha. They will not get a separate central hall, which means we are seeing as one of an important regional power rather than just a nation, just another nation. Okay, so it is very obvious that since we are leading the entire global south to a decolonization process, these nations are looking towards us with a hope that we will be the guiding policy light for them. So it is very natural that the direction in which our jurisprudence and courts go, a lot of smaller brothers in our region, the Bharatiya Upmahadvip region, will follow those steps.
One last question, sir. What sort of steps should be taken by the Indian government to improve its leadership in geopolitical events, as our methods to deal with the problems of the world is usually unacceptable to the West and is only supported mainly by developing nations?
Hmm. So we've already seen that this all the international busybodies which were created post Second World War, uh, they were designed in a way where the countries which lost the war, they continuously remain dependent on the benefits which these winning countries decide to distribute to them. It's like a self-fulfilling cycle. I'm a victim, please give me money. That fellow wants you to be victims so that they can disburse money and also give you political conditions. This is a cycle which they created. So now what is happening is Bharat is saying, hey, no, this is not working with me. Do one thing. Uh, you remove UK from the United Nations Security Council and let me sit there instead. Okay, it's just a tiny seashore now, so it does not have any geopolitical weight. We are the fastest growing economy. We are the only consuming market in the world where the birth rate is maintained. Americans have gone aged, Russians have gone aged, the Chinese have gone aged, the Koreans have gone aged, Japanese have gone aged. Okay, so we are the only ones who can work, earn, and spend. So if you want access to my market, I'm going to set the rules. Okay. So Bharat is saying that if you are not going to reform these international busybodies, you can do whatever you want. We are making another forum of a global south 100 plus nations. We are going to decide our things, whether you like it or not, we'll go ahead and implement. So this is what happens with the multipolarity.
I don't think we have many more questions. Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting the distinction between the values of law and jurisprudence in India and across the world, and for connecting the wisdom embedded in Bharatiya jurisprudence with the contemporary legal provisions and geopolitics. and also for addressing the pressing issues that continue to adversely affect the present case scenario in the light of the ongoing geopolitical reforms. As we conclude this enlightening session, let us reflect on the profound insights shared. I'd now request our program director, Dr. Seema Singh ma'am, to deliver a vote of thanks for the session.
थैंक यू सो मच अंकित जी। पहले तो मैं आपको बहुत बधाई देना चाहती हूँ कि आपके सारे जितने भी पहले के फोरकास्ट रहे हैं वो लगभग सारे सही हुए हैं। और आपने जो अभी 2030-40 तक का जो भारत का भविष्य बताया, अगर ये सही होता है तो मुझे लग रहा है कि आप ये बोल रहे हैं कि हॉट स्पॉट्स का 4 हॉट स्पॉट्स का रिवर्सल होगा। पर मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि हमारे धार्मिक व्यवस्था में जो टाइम को लीनियर की जगह साइक्लिक माना जाता है ना, ये एक्चुअल में ओरिजिनल भारत का रिवर्सल है। और ये भी समझ में आता है कि किस तरीके से, और यूथ यहाँ पे जो बैठे स्पेशली मैं उनको बताना चाह रही थी कि क्यों आपका लेक्चर यहाँ पे कराया गया। कुछ क्वेश्चन भी मैं जरूर पूछूंगी आपसे, क्योंकि अभी तक एक जो दिमाग में चीजों को सेटल किया गया उसमें एक इम्पॉर्टेंट बात ये है कि वेस्ट बहुत एडवांस है, ये बहुत डेवलप्ड है, यही सारे पैरामीटर सेट करके यही हमें बताते हैं कि हम कहाँ पिछड़े हुए हैं, हम कहाँ अगड़े, हमें क्या करना है। और कहीं ना कहीं इन्होंने ना इस चीज को हर एक बच्चे के दिमाग में सेटल कर दिया है। अभी मुझे कुछ चीजें मैं स्टूडेंट्स के बिहाफ पे ही आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी। अभी हाल फिलहाल में अगर हम देखते हैं, क्योंकि मुझे लग रहा है इंडिया में भी 3-4 अटेम्प्ट इसके हो चुके हैं, ये एक सेटल्ड मॉडल को फॉलो करते हैं, लेकिन चर्चा में हाल फिलहाल में जो चीज नोटिस की गई डीप स्टेट के नाम पे, अफगानिस्तान की सरकार गई, पाकिस्तान की सरकार गई, बांग्लादेश में डीप स्टेट ने एक एक्सपेरिमेंट किया। अब इन्होंने जो मोडस ऑपरेंडी अपनाया हुआ है सेटल्ड कंट्रीज को अनसेटल करके वहां पे एंटर करने का, या जिस तरीके से ये वोकिज्म के नाम पे, या फिर आप कह लीजिए फंडामेंटल राइट के नाम पे, या लिबर्टी के नाम पे जिन चीजों को यंग माइंड्स में सेटल करना चाहते हैं वो इतने खतरनाक हैं। जैसा कुछ एग्जाम्पल आपने दिया कि अगर इनको एक्सपोज नहीं किया गया तो आने वाले समय में ये पूरी इंडियन सिविलाइजेशन नहीं पूरे वर्ल्ड के लिए एक बड़ा थ्रेट है। मुझे बस आपसे ये पूछना था कि ये जो डीप स्टेट है, एक्चुअल में ये डीप स्टेट क्या है, इसको लेकर के लोगों के दिमाग में कंफ्यूजन है। ये कैसे काम करता है, ग्लोबल मार्केट फोर्सेस और डीप स्टेट में क्या कोई रिलेशन है। और एक क्वेश्चन मैं आपसे और पूछना चाहूंगी, जब डोनाल्ड ट्रंप यूएस में आए तो उनकी एक अलग वो इमेज लेकर के आए, पर आज जिस तरीके से डोनाल्ड ट्रंप की पॉलिसी चल रही है, स्पेशली अगर हम एलन मस्क और डोनाल्ड ट्रंप को देखते हैं कि वो एकदम मतलब पार्ट अवे जिसको बोलते हैं ना, कि एकदम अलग हो गए वो। और वहां पे जो भी उनके क्लोज लोग थे वो बेसिकली आज डोनाल्ड ट्रंप के साथ नहीं है। तो ये भी क्या डीप स्टेट का ही खेल है, हाउ दे फंक्शन। और सडनली जो चीजें कभी पब्लिक डिमांड के नाम पे, कभी किसी और तरीके से सुप्रीम कोर्ट के ऊपर प्रेशर करने के लिए या लोगों को मिसगाइड करने के लिए क्रिएट की जाती हैं, इसका बस एक थोड़ा सा अगर आप डिस्क्रिप्शन दे देंगे तो मुझे लग रहा है काफी चीजें क्लियर हो जाएंगी।
जी, तो डीप स्टेट का जो स्ट्रक्चर है ये पिछले 400-500 साल से ये हिस्ट्री रहा है। ये वो एरिस्टोक्रेट फैमिलीज हैं यूरोप की, प्योरली यूरोप बेस्ड एरिस्टोक्रेट फैमिलीज, जो वॉर्स और कॉन्फ्लिक्ट स्क्रिप्ट करते हैं। ओके, और वो ऑलरेडी अपने जितने भी टूल किट्स होते हैं, टूल किट्स मीनिंग जितनी भी बड़ी कंपनीज होती हैं इज अ पार्ट ऑफ देयर टूल किट्स। ओके, वो कंपनीज ऑलरेडी वो सारी एक्शंस ले चुकी होती है, बाद में स्क्रिप्ट प्ले आउट होती है, उसमें से पैसा बनता है और फिर नेक्स्ट स्क्रिप्ट का प्लानिंग भी शुरू हो जाता है। अगर मैं आपको छोटा सा एग्जांपल दे दूं, आपको भारत के, आई थिंक मैंने इस पर ट्वीट भी किया था, अगर आपको भारत के बड़े एलिट एजुकेशन कैंपसेस दिखेंगे या टियर 1 सिटीज, ओके, इसमें म्युनिसिपल कॉरपोरेशन को पैसे देके कुत्ते छुड़वाए जा रहे हैं, स्ट्रे डॉग्स। ओके, पैसे देके, कौन पैसे दे रहा है? ये डीप स्टेट की वही टूल किट कंपनीज हैं जो पेट प्रोडक्ट्स में से प्रॉफिट करती है, और डॉग काटने के बाद जो इंजेक्शन वाली फार्मा कंपनी है, ये दो कंपनीज मिलके म्युनिसिपल कॉरपोरेशन को पैसे दे रही है आपके एरिया में स्ट्रे डॉग्स छोड़ने के लिए। ओके, और डिजाइन कैसा किया गया है कि इन्फ्लुएंसर्स को पैसे दिए जा रहे हैं कि तुम पेट डॉग्स वाले फोटो सोशल मीडिया पे डालो, मेरे जैसे इन्फ्लुएंसर्स, यूट्यूब एक्सपर्ट्स, हमको बोला जा रहा है तुम सोशल मीडिया पे कुत्तों के साथ फोटो डालो, पेट डॉग्स, ब्रीड्स, ओके। वो टीनेजर्स जो बेवकूफ बनते हैं, वो एक वीक के लिए ये स्ट्रे डॉग्स को खाना खिलाते हैं और फिर घर पे आके जिद करते हैं कि मुझे अब ब्रीड डॉग लेना है, कमर्शियल वाला, वो वाला नहीं, स्ट्रे वाला नहीं। स्ट्रे वाला तो आपको काटने के लिए छोड़ा है उन्होंने, राइट। तो ये जो आइडिया है एडम स्मिथ के कैपिटलिज्म का, जिसमें डीप स्टेट हर जगह पे हर लेवल पे इतना इन्फिल्ट्रेट कर चुका है कि यू विल हैव नो क्ल्यू के चल तुम्हारे आजू बाजू हर जगह है, तुमको पता भी नहीं है, ओके। सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आप ये पकड़ के चलो कि फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर हो गया, ठीक है। फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर में अगर आप किसी हिस्ट्री टीचर को पूछोगे या जियोपॉलिटिक्स एक्सपर्ट को पूछोगे, वो बोलेगा स्टोरी, अच्छा आर्च ड्यूक फर्डिनेंड वो और वो मारा गया, तो फिर दो कंट्री में फाइट हो गई, फिर और 50 कंट्री जुड़ गई और ऐसे वर्ल्ड वॉर हो गया। ये पूरा स्टोरी है। द रियल स्टोरी इज कि सारे वॉर जो होते हैं वो वॉर स्पॉन्सर करने वाली जो कंपनीज होती है, डिफेंस और बैंकिंग की होती है। ओके। तो ऑलरेडी लंदन में बैंक्स में क्राइसिस चल रहा था, उसका स्क्रिप्ट चला के ये आर्चड्यूक फर्डिनेंड को मारा गया और वर्ल्ड वॉर स्टार्ट हुआ, ये कोई नहीं बता रहा। दूसरा, स्क्रिप्ट इतनी इंटरेस्टिंग बनाते हैं ये लोग कि आपको पता नहीं लगेगा। जैसे यूरोप में इलीगल्स को घुसाने के लिए इन्होंने क्या किया, एक छोटा सा बच्चा सी शोर पे मरा हुआ पाया गया, उसका फोटो यूज किया। एक छोटा सा बच्चा जो मर गया सी शोर पे, राइट, कंट्री क्रॉस करने में या जो भी है, बोट से उतरने में, जो भी है इलीगल, वो फोटो को इतना मार्केट किया गया, इतना मार्केट किया गया कि यूरोप की बेवकूफ जनता खुद सड़क पे आ गई और बोलने लग गई बॉर्डर खोल दो, ऐसे इंसान नहीं मरना चाहिए। समझ रहे क्या चल रहा है, राइट। फिर सबके सब घुस गए हैं और अब जर्मनी में ये रेडिकल्स बूढ़ों को ये बोल रहे हैं कि तुम निकलो तुम्हारे घर में से, अब ये घर मेरा है। अंडरस्टूड क्या चल रहा है। तो इलीगल्स को घुसाने के लिए पब्लिक को कैसे उकसाया गया, जुडिशरी को उकसाया गया भाई। यूक्रेन का, इटली का प्रोफेसर या ऑथर, उसको क्या लेना देना उस बच्चे के साथ, वो क्यों ट्वीट कर रहा है, राइट। जर्मनी का जज क्यों ट्वीट कर रहा है उस बच्चे के बारे में, क्योंकि सबको, सबने डॉलर्स लिए हैं, सबने डॉलर्स लिए हैं इलीगल्स को अंदर घुसवाने के, ये पूरे नरेटिव की पेमेंट मिली है, राइट। सो दिस इज हाउ डीप स्टेट फंक्शंस। तो यूरोप का क्राइसिस रेडी कर दिया है उन्होंने। 2030 के बाद जो क्रिश्चियनिटी और इस्लाम के बीच क्रूजेड्स होंगे यूरोप में, वो स्क्रिप्ट रेडी है, और 2030 तक डॉलर की स्क्रिप्ट खत्म कर रहे हैं वो। चालू स्क्रिप्ट के टाइम पे नेक्स्ट वाला रेडी है। दिस इज हाउ दे फंक्शन, ओके। सो यू गॉट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि कौन से लेवल पे इनका इन्फिल्ट्रेशन चलता है, और प्रॉफिट्स के अलावा इनको कोई लेना देना नहीं है। तो जैसे इंडिया पाकिस्तान की लकीर यहाँ पे उन्होंने जबरदस्ती खींचवाई, फाइटिंग थी नहीं, पीओके वाला हॉटस्पॉट खड़ा करने के लिए हमारे टूल किट्स को, राइट। आपको बहुत सारे लोग मिल जाएंगे जो ब्लेम करेंगे, अच्छा जिन्ना वैसा था, गांधी जी ने क्यों कॉम्प्रोमाइज किया, नेहरू ने ऐसा। अरे भाई ये तो टूल किट्स से, उनको तो स्कीम ही नहीं पता है, पूरा स्कीम उनको पता भी कहाँ था कि क्या चल रहा है। तो पार्टीशन आपका यूएस डॉलर ने करवाया है, आधों को तो पता ही नहीं है ये चीज, राइट। उनको लग रहा है कि ये ऐसे ही। सो यूएस डॉलर को रिजर्व करेंसी स्टेटस में रखने के लिए पीओके वाला हॉटस्पॉट खड़ा किया गया। आपकी लकीर खींची गई बिल्कुल वैसे ही इसराइल और पैलेस्टाइन की लकीर खींची गई, और वहां भी वही हाल है, एक कंट्री को आर्म्स और डॉलर्स मिल रहा है और बाजू वाले को सैंक्शन किया जा रहा है, तो दोनों फाइट करते रहे, राइट। तो हेल्दी कंट्री को कंपलसरी डॉलर में ट्रेड करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि उसको लग रहा है कि बाजू वाला पनिश हो रहा है ना, जो बदमाश है वो पनिश हो रहा है, तो उसको अच्छा अच्छा लग रहा है, उसको उसको समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि ये क्या स्कीम चल रही है। सो दिस इज एग्जैक्टली हाउ डीप स्टेट ऑपरेट्स। उनको ना कोई ज्योग्राफी के साथ लेना देना, ना अमेरिका के साथ भी कुछ लेना देना। जब वो यूके से यूएस को सुपर पावर बनाना डिसाइड किए, तो वो कोई अमेरिकी गवर्नमेंट को पूछ के नहीं, अमेरिकन सिटीजन्स को पूछ के नहीं, उन्होंने देखा कि यूके का इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंस जो है वो डिफेंस स्पेंडिंग को क्रॉस कर रहा है। मतलब जितने पैसे मैंने लूटने थे उतने मैं लूट चुका हूं, अब मुझे नया वर्ल्ड पावर चाहिए। तो सारे अमेरिका में शिफ्ट हुए। ठीक है, अब अमेरिका का इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंस क्रॉस कर चुका डिफेंस स्पेंडिंग, अब मल्टीपोलैरिटी ढूंढ रहे हैं। तो अमेरिकन को पूछ के सुपर पावर नहीं बनाया अमेरिका को, ना अमेरिकी प्रेसिडेंट को, ना अमेरिकी सिटीजन्स को। वो लोग ने तय किया कि अमेरिका का करेंसी सबसे ऊपर होना चाहिए। क्यों? क्योंकि उनको खुद को प्रॉफिट करने का था। अब उनको दिखाई दे रहा है कि भारत एक ही ज्योग्राफी बची है जहां बर्थ रेट है, प्रोडक्ट्स बिकेंगे तो प्रॉफिट होगा ना, बूढ़े थोड़ी प्रॉफिट्स दिला सकते हैं। तो अब ऑब्वियसली अब रुपी की बारी है, रुपी अप्रिसिएट होगा, डॉलर डी वैल्यू होगा।
बहुत बढ़िया। और अंकित जी, मैं आपसे एक ये भी प्रश्न पूछना चाह रही थी कि अभी जैसे जो क्योंकि ये चीजें पहले पॉलिटिक्स में आती हैं या इंटरनेशनली आप कह सकते हैं कि इम्पोज की जाती हैं, फिर किसी देश की पॉलिसी में आती है, वहां से कोर्ट में आती हैं, और फिर कोर्ट में जजेस को भी किसी न किसी तरीके से डायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्ट एनवायरनमेंट बना करके इन्फ्लुएंस करने की कोशिश की जाती है। अभी जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट मुद्दा चल रहा है, क्योंकि इन्होंने लिबर्टी के नाम पे ये सब जितना इन्होंने किया, अब जो इनका एक मेजर आ रहा है जिसको लेकर के अभी इंडिया और यूएस के बीच में डील फंसी हुई है, और मुझे लगता है वो जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड फूड्स को लेकर के है। ये जो इनका फूड पे जो इनकी अब नजर आ गई है कि मतलब खाना जो है जो नेचुरली सबको अवेलेबल होना चाहिए उससे सबको डिप्राइव कर देना, ये इनका कौन सा मॉडल है? अगर आप इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा बता देंगे, और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को इसमें क्या हेजिटेशन है, तो और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने इसको क्यों रोक रखा है, तो इस पे थोड़ा सा आपका
जी। सो जो हमारा वाइट रेवोल्यूशन और ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन जिसको सक्सेस बोला गया वो पूरा फेक था। दिस वॉज नॉट रेवोल्यूशन, दिस इज फेक मिल्क एंड फेक फूड। ओके, जो खाने की चीज 3-4 घंटे में खराब नहीं हो जाती वो मुंह में डालनी ही नहीं चाहिए। वापस रिपीट करता हूं, जो खाने की चीज 3-4 घंटे में नेचुरली खराब नहीं हो जाती वो आप मुंह में डाल ही नहीं सकते। दिस इज भारतीय धर्म कॉन्सेप्ट। ओके, ये इनका कॉन्सेप्ट है जहां में केमिकल्स और जिसमें ग्रीन मार्क भी लगा है उस प्रोडक्ट्स में भी नॉनवेज चीजें सोर्स करके इंग्रेडिएंट्स में केमिकल नाम डाला हुआ है। तुमको समझ में भी नहीं आएगा कि ये कॉकरोच से बना है या कौन से इंसेक्ट से बना है। जैसे कैंडीज होती है जिसमें रेड कलर यूज होता है, वो क्लियरली इंसेक्ट से बन रहा है। तो ये इनका जो प्लान है पूरे वेस्टर्न सिटीजन्स को नकली खाना सेल करने का इनका प्लान है, विच इज प्रिंटेड फूड, प्रिंटेड आर्टिफिशियल फूड और इंसेक्ट्स पाउडर वाला खाना। और भारत सरकार को पता है क्योंकि हमारे काफी सारी देसी चीजें गायब हो गई है, हमें पता ही है। हमारा गुआवा जो ओरिजिनल था वो गायब हो चुका है, हमारा कॉर्न गायब हो चुका है, मकई आपको पता है अमेरिकन मकई बिल्कुल मुंह में नहीं डालनी चाहिए, राइट। तो ये सारे ये जो जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड चीजें जो खाने में दे रहे वो क्यों दे रहे वो मैं आपको समझाता हूं। क्योंकि फार्मा इंडस्ट्री का एमओयू हो चुका है क्रॉप साइंस वाली इंडस्ट्री के साथ। मतलब जिसको डायबिटीज है उसको ब्लड प्रेशर होना ही चाहिए 5-6 साल में, नहीं कैसे होगा? ओके, और जिसको ब्लड प्रेशर है उसको डायबिटीज हो जाना चाहिए, दोनों को हो ही जाना चाहिए। क्योंकि क्रॉप साइंस वाले का एमओयू हो चुका है मेडि फार्मा वाले के साथ, तो ये तो होगा ही। सो वेरी नेचुरल के डीप स्टेट की टूल किट्स जो हैं वो चाहती है कि आप एक परमानेंट कस्टमर बन के रहे। तो उन्होंने सब कुछ कमर्शियलाइज किया। पहले वुमन को किचन से भगा दिया ताकि आप कंटिन्यूसली इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम, मेडिकल प्रीमियम भरें, फूड प्रोसेस्ड खाए, बीमार हो। और वो चाहते हैं कि आप चुपचाप जितना इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम आए भरें। तो तीनों की तीनों इंडस्ट्री ऐसे डेवलप हुई, दवाई की, फूड की और इंश्योरेंस की। तो जितना वुमन घर पे रहेगी उतना हेल्दी खाना मिलेगा, जो वो बिल्कुल भी नहीं चाहते। अब दूसरा वो क्या नहीं चाहते, वो नहीं चाहते कि आपको नेचुरल मिल्क मिले। तो इन्होंने क्या क्या करना शुरू किया है वो मैं आपको बताता हूँ। यूके में उन्होंने फार्मर्स के ऊपर इनहेरिटेंस टैक्स डाला है, डेयरी इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर इनहेरिटेंस टैक्स, क्योंकि आप खुद ही अपना धंधा बंद कर दो नेचुरल मिल्क वाला। दूसरी कंट्री में उन्होंने बोला है कि काऊ जो है वो बहुत पोल्यूशन करती है, मीथेन गैस छोड़ती है जो भी, तो उनको मारना शुरू करो, काटना। तीसरी कंट्री में उन्होंने सब्सिडीज बंद कर दी नेचुरल फूड उगाने के लिए। ओके। और यूएस में तो साफ दिख रहा है कि भाई माइक्रोसॉफ्ट में से पैसे निकाल के वो फार्मलैंड खरीद रहा है, साफ दिख रहा है, क्लियर। ओके। सो ये जो आइडिया है, अब गौ माता को हटा के कॉकरोच मिल्क वाला नया उन्होंने निकाला है। तो आपको टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया की एड्स दिखेगी कॉकरोच मिल्क वाली। ओके। क्योंकि हेल्थ दो ही जगह से आती है, या तो आपकी मदर या गौ माता, दो में से एक। तो दोनों को भगा रहे हैं वो आपके जीवन में से, क्योंकि वो चाहते हैं कि सब इंडिविजुअल जीवन जिए कुत्ता और बिल्ली लेके, नो हस्बैंड, नो वाइफ, नो चिल्ड्रन। और कनाडा और ऑस्ट्रेलिया में दोनों में वो अचीव कर चुके हैं। ऑस्ट्रेलिया और कनाडा दोनों में कुत्ते ज्यादा हैं, फैमिली मेंबर्स कम है। दे अचीव्ड इट सक्सेसफुली। अब आपकी बारी है। तो आपके टीयर 1 सिटीज में जो जो मेंटल हेल्थ के पेशेंट्स हैं वो सब कुत्ता बिल्ली घसीट के 5th फ्लोर पे लेके जाते हैं, बिकॉज अब ह्यूमन के साथ मैनेज करने के तो बचे नहीं है उस लायक। तो अब पूरा जीवन ऐसे ही बिताना है उन्होंने। ये डीप स्टेट ये चाहता है कि जितना फैमिली टूटेगा उतना ज्यादा प्रोडक्ट्स बिकेगा, सिंपल। ओके, सिंपल लॉजिक। जितना फैमिली टूटेगा वो इंडिविजुअल को हर एक चीज अपने के लिए खरीदनी पड़ेगी। नया टीवी खरीदना पड़ेगा, उसके लिए अलग रूम चाहिए, उसको अलग बेड चाहिए, राइट, उसको प्रॉपर्टी चाहिए, उसकी अलग कार चाहिए, राइट। तो इसीलिए फैमिली जितनी टूटेगी उतने ज़्यादा प्रोडक्ट्स बिकेंगे, उतना ज़्यादा प्रॉफिट। तो चाहे उसको वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट के नाम पे लेबल करो या कुछ भी अलग XYZ बोलो, कैसे भी करके दे वांट, क्योंकि मैन जो है वो 99% से भी ज़्यादा अपना खुद का अर्न किया हुआ पैसा फैमिली पे लगाता है। तो कैसे भी करके दे डोंट वांट मैन टू बी विद द फैमिली, तो ही ज़्यादा प्रोडक्ट बिकेगा।
थैंक यू अंकित जी। बहुत ही अच्छा ये हम लोगों का इंटरेक्शन रहा, और मुझे लगा है बहुत ज्यादा इसकी रिक्वायरमेंट है, क्योंकि लोगों को इसके बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन ही नहीं है कि एक्चुअली जो चीज दिखाई जा रही है उसके पीछे चल क्या रहा है। और दूसरी सबसे बड़ी जो एक समस्या हो गई है कि जो मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन है ना, उसको हम एक्चुअल इन्फॉर्मेशन मानते हैं। और जितने आपके प्राइम टाइम चैनल्स हैं, आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ देम आर विलिंगली और नोइंगली और अननोइंगली, आई डोंट नो, बट
कट कॉपी पेस्ट,
कट
फेक
कॉपी पेस्ट
हेडलाइंस,
है। और
टोटली 99% फेक।
बिल्कुल। और एक जो हमारा एक नया एजेंडा हम चलाते हैं, हमने जो अपने दिमाग में सेटल कर रखा है कि वॉशिंगटन पोस्ट ने कर दिया तो एकदम ऑथेंटिक है, ये WHO की रिपोर्ट आ गई, ये UN की रिपोर्ट आ गई तो ऑथेंटिक है। ये सबको समझ में आना चाहिए कि इनकी हर एक चीज प्लान्ड होती है। और इसीलिए आज आपका यहाँ पे आना और इस प्लेटफॉर्म से बोलना हमारे लिए बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट रहा। और मुझे लग रहा है कि फ्यूचर जितनी हम क्राइसिस अभी तक झेल चुके हैं, मुझे लग रहा है कि आज आपको सुनने के बाद लोगों को उसके पीछे का रीजन भी समझ में आ गया होगा। और ये भी समझ में आ गया होगा कि इनका जो मॉडल है वो कितना क्रूएल इकोनॉमिक मॉडल है। आप उनके लिए कुछ भी नहीं हो, वो आपको कभी भी खत्म कर सकते हैं। उनको सिर्फ एक चीज चाहिए और वो है पैसा। तो जब भी किसी चीज को पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म पे या मीडिया के थ्रू उठाया जाता है, एक बार आप अपने दिमाग को जरूर अप्लाई करिए और अपने दिमाग को, मुझे लगता है, डिकोलोनाइज करिए कि हमारे पूर्वजों ने जिन प्रथाओं को मान करके लाखों सालों तक इस सभ्यता को बचा के रखा, वो टाइम टेस्टेड चीजें थी। वो ऐसी नहीं थी कि उसको कोई भी आकर के उंगली उठा के कह दे कि खराब है और हमने मान लिया कि खराब है। और वो भी तब जबकि वेस्ट में वो खुद ही फेल हो चुकी हैं। तो आपने जो इतनी अच्छी एनालिसिस करी, आई एम एक्सट्रीमली थैंकफुल टू यू,
जी
एक्सट्रीमली थैंकफुल टू यू।
जी
और आपको हम फिर जरूर बुलाते रहेंगे, क्योंकि
जी
आपका ये जो प्रिडिक्शंस होते हैं वो बहुत सही होते हैं। और जो 4 हॉट स्पॉट्स के बारे में आपने भविष्यवाणी की है वो साफ साफ दिखाई भी दे रहा है। एक बचा हुआ है, चाइना, चाइना एंड ताइवान। और मुझे लगता है वो भी जल्दी होगा एज पर योर प्रिडिक्शन। तो इसी के साथ मैं यहाँ पे उपस्थित सभी लोगों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करती हूँ। देवेंद्र जी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, जिन्होंने इतना इम्पोर्टेंट एक अच्छा हमारे लिए एक समय भी निकाला। और आप दोनों का जो आज का एक एड्रेस था ना, इट वाज एन आई ओपनिंग फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस, एंड आई थिंक इट इज एक्सट्रीमली लर्निंग, एंड ईच एंड एवरी यंगस्टर्स मस्ट डेफिनेटली नो दिस कि एक्चुअल में क्या हो रहा है। तो गुंजन मैम, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। यहाँ पे जितने लोग उपस्थित हैं आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। इसको आप लोग एक बार दोबारा यूट्यूब पे जरूर सुनिएगा और अपने दिमाग को अप्लाई करिएगा ये समझने के लिए कि ये डीप स्टेट कहाँ कहाँ पे कैसे कैसे आपके दिमाग को कंट्रोल करने की कोशिश कर रहा है। जब आप इसको समझेंगे तभी आपको एक कॉन्स्पिरेसी समझ में
तो अच्छा हुआ कम बोला, मैं तो जियो पॉलिटिक्स को उसको इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन से एनवायरनमेंट से जोड़ रहा था। अंकित जी ने कहा कि जियो पॉलिटिक्स है ही नहीं,
एग्जैक्टली ये तो कुछ और ही है। और ये देवेंद्र भैया बीइंग एन एकेडमिशियन हम लोगों के लिए भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है समझना, क्योंकि हम ही बच्चों को पढ़ाते हैं। तो सबसे पहले हमें एक्सपोजर होना चाहिए रियल फैक्ट्स को लेके कि जिसको हम क्लास में इंटरनेशनल लॉ के नाम पे, ह्यूमन राइट्स के नाम पे पढ़ा रहे हैं, लिबर्टी के नाम पे पढ़ा रहे हैं, एक्चुअल में वो वाकई में हमें उसको वैसे ही बताना चाहिए जैसे वो दिखाई जा रही हैं, या हमारे लिए ये भी जरूरी है कि हम
हमें दिखाने के लिए दिखाई जा रही है, वो ऐसी है नहीं।
एग्जैक्टली ऐसी नहीं है,
दिखाने के लिए दिखाई जा रही है।
लेकिन अगर आप देखिए तो मुझे तो लगता है कि अभी जैसे अंकित जी को हमने सुना 90% लोगों को अभी भी नहीं आइडिया कि एक्चुअल में हो क्या रहा है। तो ये एक बड़ा चैलेंजिंग चीज है।
will come whenever you have some where I can address people, students certainly.
Because सीमा बहन जी मेरे साथ ना नंबर शेयर कर देना अंकित जी का, so you can give to my students so they can start watching him, so and
नहीं बिल्कुल। और आप जितने लोग हैं आप सारे लोग इनके चैनल को फॉलो कर सकते हैं और इनके चैनल को फॉलो करना चाहिए। तो हमने अपने ग्रुप में तो आपका चैनल शेयर करना ही करना है, और यूट्यूब पे भी, और हमारे जो सोर्स ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन है हम इसको शेयर करेंगे। आप जैसे लोगों को सभी को सुनना चाहिए। तो इसी के साथ आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। अच्छा खासा समय दिया आप लोगों ने, पर मुझे लग रहा है कि ये एक लाइफ टाइम लर्निंग सेशन था और इससे हमने बहुत सारी चीजें सीखी और समझी हैं। तो अंकित जी आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद एक बार फिर से, और आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। गुंजन मैम आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
सीमा मैं एक चीज और कहना चाहूंगी अंकित जी, इट वाज रियली, आई ट्रूली एग्री विद सीमा, इट वाज एन आई ओपनर। एंड ये तो अभी ऑनलाइन सेशन है, मच इन्फ्लुएंस, वी वुड इनवाइट यू टू कैंपस लॉ सेंटर and a wonderful learning. It was really fully involving, Thank you so much. Thank you, Devendra ji, from Campus Law Center. You are being connected, sir. We really want you people to join again, and it is really very knowledgeable. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
और अंकित जी हम तो ये भी चाहेंगे कि जो भी हमारे 21 कोलैबोरेटर यूनिवर्सिटीज है ना, वो सब आपको इंडिविजुअली बुलाएं और उनके बच्चों को पता चलना चाहिए कि एक्चुअल में हो क्या रहा है।
दे हैव टू प्रिपेयर, बच्चों के लिए 2030 के बाद वाला लाइफस्टाइल के लिए प्रिपेयर करना पड़ेगा, जहाँ पे एंटरप्राइजिंग स्टार्टअप्स इन सब पे स्किल बेस्ड उनको ध्यान देना पड़ेगा, सिर्फ पैकेजेस से नहीं होने वाला है।
बिल्कुल आप सही कह रहे हैं, कैरियर को लेके नए चैलेंजेस आने वाले हैं और सिर्फ डिग्री किसी काम की रहने वाली नहीं है। तो बी रेडी कि आप किस तरीके से आगे अपने कैरियर को, क्योंकि आपके जब चैलेंजेस बढ़ेंगे तो सर्वाइवल के लिए आपको नई स्किल्स भी डेवलप करनी पड़ेंगी। इट इज मैंडेटरी एंड आई थिंक इट इज मैंडेटरी फॉर द एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशंस आल्सो। सो हमें भी पॉलिसी मेकिंग में डेफिनेटली इन चीजों का ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा। तो धन्यवाद आप सभी का, और दोबारा मिलेंगे हम लोग अगले संडे को एक नए लेक्चर के साथ, और वो भी बहुत अच्छा लेक्चर होने वाला है जो आपको बताने वाला है कि जब हम कोई डिसीजन मेकिंग करते हैं तो एक्चुअल में डिसीजन मेकिंग का प्रोसेस क्या होना चाहिए, या हमें कैसे पता चले कि ये डिसीजन जो हमने लिया है ये सही है या नहीं। ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि जुडिशरी में स्पेशली इंपॉर्टेंट है, पर्सनल लाइफ में भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। तो एक जो होता है ना कि इंफॉर्मेशन को गैदर करके सिर्फ बिना प्रोसेस किए उस पर रिलाई ना करना, बल्कि ये समझना कि एक्चुअल में जो चीज दिखाई जा रही है वो हमारे लिए सही है कि नहीं, एंड हाउ वी शुड टेक अ बेटर डिसीजन। सो विद दिस, thanks to all of you. Thank you Ankit ji, thank you Deven ji, and thank you everyone who has joined us here, all my colleagues and all the students. Namaskar.